We are nearing the end of Halloween Horror Nights season, so this week we are reviewing the Tribute Store,
the Dead Coconut Club, the food, the show, and the Scarezones.
This is episode 582 of the Unofficial Universal Orlando Podcast. Hey, everybody out there in Podland. Welcome back to another episode of UUOP. We are glad to have you with us today as we are talking more Horror Nights. We know you guys love hearing that. Now that everybody else turned it off, welcome, everyone. But I'm not alone today. Joining me, I have Tracy.
Hello, everyone.
Lee.
Hello, everyone.
And we don't have Michelle today.
Nope. I'm bummed she's missing.
Yeah, me
very
too.
Good. That is very good. Yep.
We can't half-ass it, though, just because she's not here.
No.
At some point, somebody's going to know what we're talking about. But until then, let's get into it. So, yeah, we are discussing tons of HHN stuff, minus the houses, because that will be coming in a later episode.
2 weeks' time.
2 weeks.
Yes, because we need Michelle back, and of course we need Laura, who was with us for our hype list episode. Yes, that was what it is.
Are you sure?
Yes. And then
we also need more listener entries, but
yes, please.
Yeah. Do we mention that on the show? Let's see.
No, but you can do.
We do not. Yeah. We still need more entries. So again, send us your house rankings to podcast@UUOP Podcast, and we will make sure to have the official, unofficial listener house list.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what
That's
is.
the title.
Yeah, I'm not happy with it right now.
Yeah, we got time to skew the list, so we just need entries. That's all.
Was that the doorbell?
Yes.
Who the hell was that? Hello?
Anybody here?
Oh
Hello?
my gosh!
Hello?
Hello.
Who let you in?
Look who it is.
What a surprise!
Surprise.
Hey, buddy, how you
people.
doing? It's
Dude, I'm
Brian
great. How are you
Cooper.
guys?
Brian Cooper just joined us.
Who would have known that Brian was joining us for this
Well,
episode?
Considering you didn't look
Well,
very
I just-
surprised. Not you, Brian Lee.
I kind of thought maybe you guys would be here. I'd stop in, see what's going on.
Always glad to have you, seeing as though Michelle's here, getting her ass looked at. Or not here.
Oh.
That's
So are we all looking at Michelle's ass? Is that what we're here for? Or is that
Apparently
just her doing
so.
it?
Just a doctor.
Yes.
Oh.
Just the proctologist. Anyway. Thanks for joining us, Brian.
Yeah.
A first-timer's perspective.
Caught me off guard a little bit, but yeah.
I know.
What are you guys all talking about? What's going on here?
Yeah, we are talking Horror Nights. We are talking everything, basically everything, minus the houses. So
Yeah.
we got Dead Coconut Club, food, show, Scarezones, and Tribute Store.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah.
But we're glad to have you on, right? I mean, we have a first-timer's perspective, so that's nice as well.
When Brian thought that Universal Family had finished talking about Halloween Horror
I
Nights.
know.
Dun, dun, dun.
No, Brian.
Just when I thought I was done talking about Horror Nights, you pulled me back in.
Yeah.
It's all right.
About
you-
February of next year is when we stop, and then March is when we start up for the
Yeah.
following year. So
Well, your wife will be joining us in 2 weeks as well, so.
Oh, God. It really doesn't stop. It is
doesn't.
haunting.
Yep, it is. Anyway.
let's get into it here. So hotels.
Yeah.
Now, so main hotel, right? Cabana Bay.
Which we didn't go to on this trip
we
at
didn't
all.
get a chance to, did we? But yes,
Yeah.
I would say that's the main
Yeah.
haunt.
Yeah, like the main hub there.
Did you do the Chucky photo op thing, Chris?
Dude, we were so yes, but not really. It was that opening weekend we stayed there. We were by the pool and we were going up to the room, and Alexa and I were like, yeah, we'll check it out later. We got to get ready and leave. And thankfully one of us, knowing how bad we are at making planned decisions, just said, kid, let's just walk in there. Let's just look at it. So like wet bathing suits, walking through there,
my
took some
God.
photos. But with the amount of times that we went there and stayed at Cabana Bay, never had a chance to go back because it was just run. So we don't have any cool photos, but I've seen some awesome stuff coming out of there.
Brian, did you do it?
No, I mean, we didn't have any energy to go somewhere other than to Horror Nights and the parks while we were there. So no, we didn't have time to make it over to Cabana Bay for Chucky.
I think you've got to be those types of, because we did it last year, didn't we, with the kids
fun.
and Andy and Catherine, and it's kind of weird. You've got to be one of those. You've got to be into that posing for pictures kind of thing, which I'm not. I find it a little awkward.
I think if I was staying there or meeting somebody for lunch there, I'd go. But apart from that, I wouldn't make us.
That's why we did it last year, wasn't it? Because we were meeting Andy and Catherine for lunch, so we thought, we might as well go while we're there.
That's the way I felt about it too. I thought if we were over there to hang out and like pool day or grab a drink or whatever, then we would do it. But I wasn't going to make the trip just for that.
And I will say, just to comment on what you said, Lee, is this year's was a little different because there was like a lot of optical illusion type photos. So, yeah, you could look like you're falling down a city.
I saw that one,
and stuff like that. If you do the right spot, I'll leave that there. It comes out really good.
Because there's isn't there an Exorcist Believer one there now? It looks like you're floating off the bed. That's pretty cool, actually. I've seen a few bits of that. I don't know where it is specifically.
I think that's in City Walk, isn't it?
Is that where it is?
Yeah.
That looks pretty cool.
I love the floating bed thing.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
I saw a picture David Griswold sent. So they sent a bunch of pictures because they're there this weekend, and they're all doing the levitated above the bed thing. David did one just like against the bed as if he's sleeping. Like, he's not levitated. It's just like a dark room. It's just him all cuddled up on the bed sleeping.
Love it.
Yeah.
I was hoping he was going to just stand like he's floating, but with his pose laying on the floor.
That's what I thought he was going to say too.
That would have been actually really good.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome. I'm going to get a hold of him before he leaves.
And then, like, obviously the other things they put in the hotel this year, those stupid little photo ops. I know Michelle was super excited to go around and do them all, and I think she only did about 3 and then give up because they were a bit naff.
Mm. Yeah, I wanted to do them as well.
Like the paper, cardboard.
Yeah, like the step and repeat things. They were like, I think we saw the one in Sapphire. We saw the one in...
Obviously in our hotel.
Did we bother with the one in the Hard Rock that night? I don't think we did we? No. We didn't go near the lobby, did we?
No.
You mean for dinner?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, we didn't. So we only saw 2 of them.
You know what? I came in through the lobby and didn't see it at the Hard Rock. I'm betting it was to the right or around Velvet because I didn't go that direction. But it wasn't in an obvious place. Let's put it that way.
Because this takes me back to what I was talking about last week a little bit. We're doing little things. I know it's only little things in the hotel, but I wonder how much it takes away from the overall Halloween Horror Nights budget. And it's like, I've said it for years that I want the Halloween Horror Nights to expand beyond Universal Studios Florida. I like doing stuff in City Walk in the hotels. And then this year, I'm like, it worries me because I wonder if that's taking away from the budget of the event. And as I say, it's very telling where the budget got spent. I mean, Brian, you obviously got no point of reference with this being your first year, but it's very obvious where the budget got spent this year.
Yeah.
It very definitely got spent on houses.
Brian, you were over at Dockside, right?
Yep.
Did it have a Halloween-y vibe over there?
No.
There's some pumpkins in the bar.
A weenie vibe. Sorry.
And
Was there a weenie vibe going on?
I mean, I didn't get the weenie vibe.
That's what she said.
She's back.
There's 2 of them. Oh my God! Please.
That's all we need is 2 Tracy's. It's perfect that way.
That's it. I'll just set myself up.
You don't have to make up for the fact that she wasn't here for 3 months by having her on twice now.
The last episode, I just threw in a shut your face, so I'm glad I got back.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Good.
But yeah, I think the hotels things, it's like they've kind of, I feel like they half-assed it a little bit. Like Cabana Bay, like you said, has always been the main hotel for Horror Night stuff, and then they've kind of put stuff in the others, but not really. It's like, what can we put in the other hotels, but spend as little as possible on it?
I'm just wondering, historically, you guys might know, like, do you think it started at Cabana Bay as a way to draw people to that resort when it was newer? Like, how did it end up being picked as the one?
I think it was that one. Because how long have they been doing that? Chris, when was your first media event?
20, I want to say like 18 or 19.
Was it 19?
Maybe 19. I mean, it wasn't, I don't think it was a thing to draw in people as a new hotel because that was never a thing until fairly recently. I think they just kind of picked a hotel that had a massive capacity to just try to get booked, thinking they'd have problems renting out their hotels during Horror Nights, which they clearly don't.
Right.
No.
Definitely not.
No, I think I kind of like it, but then, like as I say, I feel like they've just kind of half-assed it a little bit with the stuff they've put in the other hotels.
You know, saying that what you said earlier, I wonder if it even comes out of like, I know it is Horror Night stuff in there, but since it is Lowe's, is that a separate budget, or do they make a deal where they're like, hey, we need to put stuff in there, so we'll pay for it?
I honestly don't know.
Yeah. Because, I mean, the hotels are banking off Horror Nights too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yes.
All right. Next up, we have the Dead Coconut Club.
Yay, we finally got to go in it this year. For media preview.
Officially.
Well, yeah, because last year, because it's only open on Horror Nights, we never got to do it last year. Because, like...
What happened when you tried to do it, Lee?
Nout.
Isn't that when you met up with Andy?
No, that was Christmas when we got kicked out of the Green and Red Coconut Club.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like, the door's open. Come on in. And it's like, sorry guys, it's closed. You'll have to leave. Oh,
turns out the door was open because it was broken.
And we've had to wander around for 5 minutes. No, we went because we were going to go in there, weren't we, when we met up with Andrew?
Yeah.
And it wasn't open, so we never got to do it last year. Whereas this year, only purely because they did pass holder preview on the Thursday night, we got to go in.
What do you think compared to previous? Oh, that's right, you never did it.
We went in the Christmas one. We did get in the Christmas one.
I cannot imagine there being many better. I thought this one was amazing. Like, I've only been in 3, so I don't have like a great repertoire of these, but I mean, this one was so much fun. I think about it all the time, actually. And you know what else? I thought about this when we came back. One really special thing about that is that it's all ages. So, like, our kids get to go in, which is really fun because they love it. We get to still hang out in these awesome bars. Like, it's a really, really cool vibe. And I give kudos to Universal for letting it be an all ages thing.
Yeah.
I will call out Brian when he says all ages because he took his kids and his youngest one's like 16.
Yeah, sure. Right. But still, I mean, that's a problem. They can't go into Rising Star, and I think that sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, which is a shame. I don't understand Rising Star. I mean, I get having maybe like a 15 limit or something, but I don't. It's not just about drinking, is it? I didn't drink in there. I was just spilling Coke on the floor.
Yeah.
You're the exception, not the rule, Lee.
I know. It was all right.
You're supposed to keep your Coke on the mirror in the bathroom, not on the floor.
Yeah, I know. I realised when I said it. Coca-Cola.
That's why I drink Pepsi.
I think I was drunk, to be fair, and I wasn't because I was sat on a piano stool that I shouldn't have been sat on, apparently.
Well, it shouldn't be there.
Exactly. Tracy, Dead Coconut Club?
I enjoyed it. It was very busy and very loud.
What drink did you actually get?
Not the one that I ordered.
They were having it, so that preview night was a mess. Because the ticket scanners weren't working properly, so they couldn't scan annual passes going in. I mean, we were one of like the first 20 people to get in, weren't we?
Yeah, we were. I'm just realising that I didn't get the drink I wanted. It was a bloody good job they didn't give me the vodka-based one.
Yeah.
I love the bar upstairs, the go around. I thought it was the best theming of that I'd seen. It was so cool.
Yeah, I as being somebody who did go to last year's and this year's, I thought they hit it out the park just as much as they did last year. Yeah. It's not like great, like they did, just themings are a little bit different between the two. I'm glad that they still push it forward and didn't make it boring. I agree, Brian. Upstairs was so cool with that, seating area that you can do photos. Yeah. There's so many good photos there. And the signage in the back. I mean, everything was just really nice up there.
Yeah, that old school drive-in concession signage was just awesome. Yeah. And then the classic, like, cartoony concession snacks, but they were dead coconuts. They really did it right.
A coconut's alive.
The what?
A coconut's alive. What's an alive coconut?
Well,
I mean, these had X's on their eyes, so you have to
definitely
assume
dead.
they're dead.
Yeah. Coconuts. So when we were there, we had the characters. Was that just for preview night, or was that a standard thing?
No, I think that's a standard thing.
Yeah, Zine and Maddie had their picture taken with Dracula on Saturday night, I believe. Yep.
Because
that Dracula was awesome.
Yeah, I was going to say, if all of the people who were playing Dracula were as good as the one that I saw, because he knew his lore, and it's a book I'm very, very familiar with. And when I told him where I was from and only an hour away from where his ship crash landed,
We were there on Friday, actually.
He knew exactly where I was talking about.
That's cool.
So I was really pleased.
I'm glad we went in, but it's like because I don't drink. Bars aren't really somewhere that I tend to hang out a lot at. So like a quick jump in, hang around with some people for like an hour or so before we went to Vivo, and then come back in because we had to go and see Chris and Alexa, of course.
Oh no, it's so demanding.
God forbid to be there on opening time.
Dude, I'm Hispanic. I'm supposed to be late. All right, it's my thing. It's my people's thing. Come on.
Have you guys seen the new shirt? I wish it was there when we were there because I really want it.
No,
it's the
yes,
it's the Dead Coconut Club shirt. It's in 3D and it comes with 3D glasses. It's awesome. I love it.
The only thing I hate, and I'm just not a big Ringer fan.
Yeah,
that I wish it was just like a solid black with everything else. I'd honestly get a couple. Like it's awesome. But yeah, no. I enjoyed it thoroughly. My only complaint and gripe with the Dead Coconut Club, I think, is I wish they would do like the whole song and dance thing and kind of keeping to the shtick of it being horror nights and stuff.
All night.
I get why they have to convert it into a club. I get that. But at least a little bit further in, because I think they cut off at like 7 o'clock or 7:30.
Really?
That's the last. When I asked the guy there, there's like 3 shows that they do, and I remember it being pretty early when they finished because I was going to take the family out there the other weekend that we went back. They were running late, and we just missed it. It was still early. Yeah, they all are Hispanic, so we were running on time.
Lit, then.
This is how it goes. They did the mash, the monster. Oh, it's 7:30.
Exactly, dude.
The EDM version of that song.
Yeah, no, just.
I'd be okay with that actually, but they were just playing regular EDM.
It's very strange. I know a lot of people complain that it like after that, and that seems. What time does it close? Because it closes relatively late, doesn't it? Because we were in there like midnight. In the holiday one after we'd done Rising Star, so it closes quite late, and then they change it at 7:30. Seems weird.
You're talking at midnight. It's been a very long time since you've been out clubbing. Then
it is about 25 years.
I don't know many clubs that close at midnight. They're just getting started.
It's not a nightclub. It's in City Walk at Universal.
Well, even so.
You know what I was just thinking? Because I agree with this. I do not like the late night vibe necessarily. But have you guys ever heard of the band Here Come the Mummies? Have you ever heard of them or seen them?
No.
They're this huge, like, I don't know, like think like old school P-Funk maybe. They're just this large funk band with like horns, but they all dress like mummies. Like they're all completely in wraps and they do it up. Like it would be awesome. I mean, they're a really good band and a really good party vibe. It'd be so fun if they were just like resident band, house band for all of Horror Nights. That'd be the coolest thing ever.
Amazing.
You should have Pangolin in there, to be fair.
They should.
Yeah.
They're rock.
I mean, last year when they had their shows, there were people dressed up. So, I mean, it's not a band, but they did have a girl on stage, and I think there was a guitarist and a sax guy and stuff. Like, it was cool. It's fun.
Yeah. I'm glad they do it because it's bringing more money in for them, and they use the space that, like, put it this way, I've never been in that place and going to Universal for 20 years, and now I finally have because of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool. All right. Moving on. We have the Tribute Store.
Oh, man.
Yeah, let Brian go first because obviously Brian's got no...
You talked first, Brian. Go ahead. Take that.
I don't think I mean, I have a reference of other tribute stores for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And this is tough because first of all, I absolutely loved it. I think it was amazing. We were lucky that the Jurassic Park tribute store was still there, so we got to do that while we were on that trip also.
Us too.
Which I also thought was amazing. And I mean, me personally, I probably liked the Jurassic Park one more, but the Horror Nights one was so good. The Noir Room, I mean, that was amazing. The raining drops projected on the floor, the forced perspective, like alleyway, the way the story led through the whole area.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. And the fact that they turned the checkout area basically into a whole other room this year with like the Jack the Ripper themed area. I mean, it was, I couldn't imagine them doing any better. It was so good.
It was far superior to last year's. Like,
What was last year's theme?
See, last year's was a ghost train. The theme was really, really good.
I loved that.
It just
the execution wasn't as good.
It just didn't work.
Having so many people in there, it detracted from the tracks on the floor and.
So I totally agree with you. That Noir Room was
so good.
That was mind-blowing.
Ridiculous. Like, if you went through there, you would think with the effort that they put into this, that it was a year-round thing.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't a
100%.
pop-up. This isn't a pop-up month and a half, 2-month thing. This is like, no, they spent money, they spent time. This is going to be here for a while. So, kudos to them for getting that executed and still,
Yeah.
And I felt that way about the old summer one too. I thought the old, the Summer Blockbuster Kirby Shop had that same, like, I can't believe this is temporary kind of thing.
I think they all
especially
do.
like E.T.'s room or Elliot's room. But the Jurassic Park, I think the regular trivia store where the Jurassic Park was spot, I still think that one suffers from, that one felt more complete than the Mardi Gras one did in that space.
Mm-hmm.
But even that, the flow of that one just doesn't fit as well for a tribute store, in my opinion. Maybe that's because we're familiar with the other one too. I don't know.
No, I agree with that. The new one, they are getting better. Like, Alexa and I will go in there, and especially the Mardi Gras one was good. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it felt more like, oh, they're selling Mardi Gras stuff in the pass holder lounge.
Yeah.
Rather than this is a themed Mardi Gras thing.
Yeah.
But they definitely did improve with the Jurassic Park one. I will say that.
But even the outside of the horror tribute store, all the stuff in those windows, like that board game, I want a copy of it so bad.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, we've said they're missing a trick if they don't make those because people would go crazy for them.
I would have bought 2 on that trip without a doubt. Take my money.
And I actually think that they could do a series of comic books. People would buy the out of them.
Well, the tribute comic books, there'll be a story in those, right, Chris? Like, you got one. When you get it, will there be a story in it or something?
Yeah. So from what they briefly told me is when they send us that, the cover, there'll be the story. I'm pretty sure it's the same one that they were selling there.
Yeah.
But then, if I'm not mistaken, they were selling another comic book, or I don't know if it was just a different cover or it was actually
no. So there's 4 covers and they're all the same comic with 4 variant covers.
Yeah. But even without the special cover, they could just sell that.
Oh yeah,
100%. And talk about a cash grab. I mean, when we did the tribute store bottles, that was the same price as the comic book. The comic book they're shipping to you in an envelope. It's just a stack of paper.
Yeah.
But those bottles they had to ship to everyone, but they didn't change the price any. So they're making it hand over fist on those tribute comic trinkets.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, without a doubt.
And I think for the tribute store, even without that noir room, it was if you took that away, it was still a really satisfying tribute store because you were just walking through the cells of a comic book, and I was trying to follow the story, and it was. Yeah, I was a big fan of that one.
But that room was still the best. Like, as a huge fan of the Frank Miller Sin City series and then the movie, the Robert Rodriguez movie as well. It was like what? It's like I want Universal to do a Sin City house now because it would be amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, that store literally shows that they can do that.
Yep.
Yeah, they've got that rain projection, haven't they? And it's like, oh, we like this. We're going to put it everywhere now because it's in the Jurassic Park one as well.
I like that.
It is pretty cool. I could have stood and just looked. I've got video. I think I posted on our Instagram of just the rain droplets on the floor, and it's so cool.
Yeah, and I think an honorable mention would be that they opened a tribute store ish inside of MCO this year.
Yes, they did.
Lee, you and Tracy went to that,
yes.
right?
Well, when we got so everyone was posting about it, saying it was in Terminal C.
Yeah.
So we walk into Terminal A, I think we were in, expecting it not to be there.
And it was.
And it had just opened.
Yeah.
They were still putting stuff in,
work,
like, on the shelves and stuff. It was so awesome. There's a video of it on our Instagram. So cool. I could have, it's like...
Was that all horror stuff?
Oh, it was completely Halloween Horror Nights themed.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was so cool.
I was a bit gutted because they had the coffin cushion. That was my regret, not buying that. No. They didn't have that. Otherwise, that was going home with me.
But then they did have stuff in there. I think there was an Exorcist t-shirt in there that wasn't available in the parks. So I don't know whether there was anything else, but there was very definitely one item in there that wasn't available in the parks, which is cool.
It was very Instagrammable.
That was awesome.
Did you pick up anything?
No.
No, it's too tight.
Once I get in the airport, I'm off and I don't want to buy stuff
Lee
to
Robert
remind me.
Malaby.
Where did that one come from?
Saving it for a special day.
And today's that day.
I just got middle named.
Oh yes.
Wow.
All right.
Ah.
Cool. And just going back to that real quick, did it feel? Did it have that like tribute store feel? Because like the pictures,
Yes.
kind of, the lighting and all that really makes you feel like you're inside of a tribute store rather than just here's another shop at the airport that has Horror Nights merch.
It smelled like Horror Nights.
Oh, it did.
Oh, neat.
Beautiful. And wasn't Horror Nights bear was there too, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so cool. And like I say, it was just a surprise because we weren't expecting it to be there because we're like, oh, they always put it in the new terminal. And
We've just gone for a wander, hadn't we?
Holy crap.
Yeah.
I just love that being there because we don't fly in, but for those that do fly, when you leave the parks, you start getting that like...
Miss it?
You can leave the parks and 30 minutes later, be like, you're going home. You're like, damn, I really want to be back there.
Yeah.
And having that at the airport's that nice little like last hit you can get right before getting on your plane.
Dude, that sense of like, I'm leaving and I'm missing it plays into buying so much extra things when we hit that store in Terminal B or whatever. It's awful. You're like, oh my God, I forgot about this. I want to get this. And then like, oh, there's this. I'm like, I have to get it now. It's so weird.
Yeah. Totally.
And you still get your discount there though, which I think is the coolest thing ever.
Really?
So your pass holder discount works there just as much as anywhere else.
Yes, it does.
Good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Moving on. Our next topic is food.
Yes.
We didn't actually try a lot of the Horror Nights specific stuff this year.
No, what we tried was good.
We're going to have a huge debate over the Korean corn dog.
Is it really that much of a
debate there? It's just trash.
No, right, Chris?
Yeah,
hang on.
I think this
Yes
crowd,
and no.
Hang on.
I did
Because
say
it
this.
turns out that that's what Korean corn dogs are.
I did try and tell you all that they are half and half.
Because we went to Newcastle to see...
that's an option, is half and half.
Everyone going, where's the sausage? There's only a tiny sausage. That's how they are.
Well, no. Right, there are 3 types. You can get all sausage, all cheese, or half and half. My issue was
the
still the
Americanized
potato.
version that I've seen, and you definitely know more better than I do. The Americanized version is definitely all cheese, all dog combined, which is what we would have expected.
Yeah.
So that's funny that it actually is more accurate, and that's what disappoints us.
I think that throws off, like, I'd say mostly Americans, because when you think of a corn dog, it's like
all sausage,
giant hunk of meat in your mouth, a little bit of breading on the outside.
Yeah, that's what she said.
Yeah, it's
I've really got to stop.
I love how Tracy doesn't even have to think about it.
Me.
No.
It's in a polenta batter, isn't it? The American corn dog.
Right.
It's what?
Isn't it?
Polenta? No, isn't it like a
corn?
Like cornbread.
Oh, it's cornbread. Oh yeah,
cornmeal.
Okay,
it's cornmeal. Yeah. So that we call it polenta. So a Korean dog is actually, because I'm in the process of R&Ding the recipe at the moment, it's more a donut batter.
Ours are too. So the idea that like if you go to a fair and get a fresh corn dog, it is not cornmeal. It is much more like funnel cake batter, like donut batter, whatever you want to call it. Like an older, like more traditional corn dog has some cornmeal in it. It's still not very much.
Yeah.
So it should have that really runny consistency of like a funnel cake when you fry it up.
That's the thing.
See,
Korean one is very thick batter.
Well, the other thing too about the corn dog, which all the other stuff, it didn't taste bad. It tasted good.
It tasted of nothing, in my opinion, but okay.
The one we had was decent. Like,
yeah.
Like, okay, the texture is nice, the crunch is nice. Here's some cheese, this. But I think the disappointment of not finding the actual dog in a corn dog was like, we thought we got gypped, but apparently, Tracy, what you're saying, that's kind of how it is.
Yeah. The potato covering was completely wrong, though. That was more like chips, like chipsticks.
They were.
And it shouldn't be. It should be cubes.
Because then the only other stuff we had was when we went into Sting Alley with you and Alexa, Chris, and we got the ravioli, which was all right. Apparently now they've changed the menus.
Oh.
So that left behind ravioli is now $1 less.
Okay.
And it doesn't show the can on the menu. So people are speculating that they haven't got any more cans and that they've dropped the price by $1 and now I don't know what they're serving it in, but yes, apparently so. Oh. So I'm so glad I got that can.
The thing is, the other thing that we had, I think we would have thought that ravioli was amazing if that's all we got.
I was going to leave you to talk about that.
But we got I
don't actually know what it's called.
The stew, basically. Because I'd seen that and I really liked the idea of it. And we got that, and that was phenomenal. I really want the recipe for that. It
really was good.
And I didn't
know. Was it in a can too?
It came in a skillet.
Which we've got. Which we've got.
Oh, you brought that skillet home.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was amazing. So I think that the ravioli lost points because it was up against that stew.
It was really
funny because the ravioli gained points for us because we went in thinking it was going to really be, and when it wasn't, we were pretty happy.
See, that for me, that same like feeling was with the Surfer Boy pizza.
Okay.
Which became, I want to say, probably my favorite Horror Nights this year's food item.
That surprises me.
I got, so when the ones that we had for our RIP tour, it is technically the same that they sell, but it's not the same.
I didn't have it.
I don't know how to describe that. But when I went to the booth, got a fresh Surfer Boy pizza, man, that thing slapped hard.
Okay.
We had both. We had one at the booth the night before and then one at the RIP, and you're 100% right. They were both fine, but it was better from the booth for sure.
Yeah, like so much like Alexa and I had it, and it was, I don't do this often. I'm like, do you want to grab another one right now? Like, I need that right now. She's like, save that sensation for later. I'm like, okay.
Who had the walking taco though? Because that was...
I really wish I'd got it now.
Oh, I wish I'd had more. That was good.
It was huge.
It was amazing.
It looked really good. Because, Chris, I thought you were going to say the peanut butter burger because you had a number of those.
Oh, yeah. Did I tell you, like, towards the end where I just gave up on it?
Right.
No.
Yeah. So, peanut butter, it was the first one I got, phenomenal. Second one I got, pretty damn good. Third one, and this is all different trips, guys. It's not all on one trip.
This is just one sit-in.
Just in a loop.
It just literally, it was like, it's like they gave up on trying to make them as described. Like they're smash burgers, so you would assume maybe a little smash on the burger, and it almost looked like a meatball in there. It was like a ball of meat.
Man.
What?
It was. I'll send you a picture. I took a picture. I'm like, this doesn't even look like a hamburger.
Because you had it that night we went into Sting Alley. Because me, Alexa, and Tracy went into Sting Alley and got some stuff, and you went over to that one opposite there and got one, didn't you?
Yeah, that one was. I think that one was still like the one that was still pretty good. And then after that, I remember because I went up with my family like 2 weeks later. I was telling my dad, I'm like, Dad, they got these badass smash burgers. Can't wait for you to try it. Got one. Didn't even want to show it to him. Like, this is a disappointment to smash burgers around the world.
I love the Hell Club sandwich. I thought that was one of the best things we had on the trip.
We didn't get a lot.
Did I even have one of the drinks? I didn't, did I? We had trouble with the drinks. That's right.
The bar that doesn't serve the drinks.
You mean you didn't get your premium cocktail?
Wow.
Although I did have proper pizza fries for the first time this year. When we just, do you know what? That was one of the best parts of Horror Nights this year, and it sounds random as hell, when I think it was like the 6 or 7 of us just all stood round that like barrel table, 4 lots of pizza fries, and everyone just digging in and chatting, and it was awesome. It was so cool. That's what I've said to a lot of people on this trip, is we don't get to do enough of that. You're always too busy trying to get on rides or go through houses or whatever that's going on. You don't get to just spend time with people.
I completely agree. It is the biggest negative about Horror Nights, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is.
Because the thing I love more is hanging out with you people. And the lack of being able to do that at Horror Nights was, I think that is by far the biggest negative of that event.
I mean, it's one of the things that we learned when we did the first Weekender.
Yes.
Because it was during Horror Nights. And it really cuts into the time that we have to, do things or events. And especially during that time, like Lee, I don't know how many times we talked about it, where we wish that not that Horror Nights wasn't happening, but that Horror Nights wasn't happening, right? Because we wanted to be hanging out with other people there. And you're not doing that at Horror Nights. At Horror Nights, you are sprinting from place to place to place to place, as expected. But yeah, you do miss out on that like downtime, that let's recap what's going on here kind of thing.
I mean, to go off topic slightly, I think you could argue that doing that first weekend during Horror Nights was a positive because it affected how we did the second one.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And I think the second one, we had more hanging out time, just talking and like food and drinks and stuff like that. And that was because of that first weekender. So I think if we hadn't have done it during Horror Nights, the second one wouldn't necessarily have been what it was. Whether that had been positive or negative, I don't know. But I think it.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I can definitely say, a lot of friends were made on the first weekender for sure.
Yeah.
But there was I can, at least myself and Alexa, like there was a lot more being able to interact with everybody else. A lot of new friends made. Yeah. It was definitely, I think it's something that, like you said, we learned from the first one, and it's a very impactful, like positive change that was done.
Yeah, it was more of a meet up than the first one was. I think we went into the first one. We've gone completely off topic. We went into the first one trying to do an event, and then we realized after doing that that's not necessarily what people wanted.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, back on the topic of food, did anyone try the spicy turkey buns?
No, we never tried anything.
It's the little boo buns from last year, Lee.
Oh, see, I love them.
Yeah, they're fantastic. Alexa, that's one of
so
Alexa's
good.
favorites. Yeah.
There was never a long line for them. They were very affordable and very delicious.
Well, I think the reason why there was not a long line, because those were fan favorites last year.
I loved it.
They didn't really announce them as, like, it wasn't a very, like, we had a hard time finding it. Let's just say that much. Like, we could not find where that booth was at.
I didn't know they were there this year. Otherwise, I'd have had one.
Lee, I got them right with you. We were when we came out of Finnegan's, and we were in the Exorcist line, and it was moving a little slow. I literally ran and got it.
That's right.
Right back to line.
Zine was going crazy that you'd just buggered off, and we were going into the Exorcist house, and he's like, "Where's Dad gone?" As if he's done this.
What we should have done was send everybody to a different booth to come back with a selection of stuff.
Yes.
And just had a big picnic.
HHN
That's
buffet,
smart.
baby.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I was expecting a little bit more on our RIP tour of like Horror Nights specific, and there wasn't. Really. I had the mummy cake pop. I think I had some of the Nashville hot chicken.
That was
like
nice.
The Chucky thing. Actually, that was decent.
I really like that.
Other than, I think I might have had one of those French bread pizzas, but I don't
didn't.
remember.
I feel like the food offerings this year, I think they had a lot more misses than hits.
Overall.
You mean overall, not just
overall,
RIP?
Yeah. Like no, like the overall food of the event this year. I think I feel like last year had more things that were like really well accepted. Like you just mentioned those little Nashville bites. Like we got them, and I am a sucker for buffalo chicken, Nashville chicken, anything chicken, popcorn chicken. I'm gonna eat it. We got it, and it was just meh. I don't know if we got a bad batch. It just wasn't great.
I mean, that could happen.
Yeah, sure.
We ate more last year. I think we just, I don't know, because it was weird.
Because we had the kids as well. You got to feed kids.
It wasn't that, because I found like this year there was less booths in New York, and whereas during Stay and Scream last year the booths were open during Stay and Scream, so we went and got you had the Sambusa coffin. I got the little Pooh's pumpkin bun and the like gravestone cake pop thing, because Jade and I have that each. And the problem was there was only 2 booths open during Stay and Scream this time: the Surfer Boy Pizza and the poutine and corn dogs, because Gillian and I ran round there and I got Tracy and I a corn dog each, and she got the poutine, so we never even got the poutine.
I wanted that as well. Damn it.
You know, there's this really good podcaster out there. She also has a business called PortKey Vacations. Her name's Michelle.
I wouldn't go that far, but all right.
She was on our podcast recently, the Universal Family Podcast.
I know, I turned it off when she came on.
She made a great point, which I think is true, is if they would add line skipping for food booths to the RIP tour, I would love it.
The problem is, Like, I do agree that they need to add something to justify the price of an RIP tour, but even skipping lines for food, that's not why I'm there. Like, if you're on an RIP tour purely for houses, and if you're not, you're doing it wrong. So
I disagree.
I do like that. I like to have a bit of food downtime in a
Well,
nice
I think
area.
because of how the event has become. If you made this statement 5 years ago, I would say sure. But the push that Universal has done to bring unique, food items and things like that. And then not just unique items, but unique items that are heavily themed to specific properties there. So I think you're doing yourself a bit of an injustice if you don't get to try some of this. And then also to add to that, if going back to the RIP thing, it may be somebody's only night going, right? And the reason why you got that RIP is because you want to be able to do everything in one night, and that is one of the few ways you can do it. And I think food is part of the experience to an extent.
Right. So then here's your argument. Don't add skip food lines in. Just put that food in the RIP to a buffet.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, dude. Yes. I'll pay even an extra premium if you do
Just
that
do
for
that.
me.
Have
For
all
sure.
the items there. Yeah, absolutely.
Not
Yes.
all of them, but like the signature items.
all
all of them.
All of them.
Yeah,
right.
you know,
All
whatever.
of them.
All of
Yeah.
them. Do you know what? Even if the smaller portions of things.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just do that.
I mean,
I
that's
was
what they
gonna
do
sample
already. They the Surfer Boy pizza in there is a quarter of it. The pizza fries is a portion.
So let's see that. What were of the Halloween Horror Nights food that we got to try in for the RP? It was the Mummy thing, the pizza, the Hellboy Club, the Nashville Hot, the pizza fries, and I think that's it, right? So that's 5 items. If they would have thrown in some raviolis, and I mean, dude, they could so do it for sure.
You're paying enough for it. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a
And
lot
La
of...
Bamba has the counter space and the kitchen to do it in, so there's no excuse for that.
Yeah, and I did complain that there was a lot of the same just
generic food.
Generic crap that I just go, well, I'm not eating any of that because I don't buy it in the parks. I'm not going to eat it here because I don't like.
Like that charcuterie thing in the Hollywood Suites was weird.
Yeah.
Like, who was having a charcuterie beforehand? Like, no. I was eating tortilla
It is kind of
chips
weird,
and
but
hot
I'll
chicken.
be honest, I was very well accepted because I was starving. I was so hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we didn't try a lot of the food this year at all. I think we found ourselves stretched very thin this year when it came to Horror Nights, where we made much more of an effort last year.
I just remember something else I tried that was really good. Did anybody have the apple fry things?
No, but I really wish I had the sour apple funnel fries.
Yes.
Funnel
It took us forever to find it because, they were, this is so weird. It took us like 2 nights to find these damn things because in the map or whatever, it said that it was at Oddfellows food booth or something like that. So I was expecting to find like a themed food booth, but it wasn't. And they said it was in Bryant Park and it wasn't. It was down towards the music area.
Hang on. It was where? In which park?
It was in whatever you call the Music Plaza area.
What did you just call it though, Brian?
Bryant Park.
Where they said it would be? Bryant Park?
Bryant Park? Where the that?
Yeah. Wait, what is that park?
I have never...
Battery Park?
I can tell you that's
Park.
in New York.
That's Battery Park and not Bryant
Battery
Park.
Park,
I don't know
sorry.
what the that is.
I thought he said Brian
Battery
Park.
Park, not Bryant.
He's just naming the parks after himself. Brian Park, yes. We just thought it was in Bryant Park.
He colonized
Bryant
it.
Park is in also New York. Bryant Park is in southern Manhattan. Sorry, they're both in New York. My fault.
Tomato, right? Yeah.
Right. A bee park in New York, both of them.
Yeah.
But no, that's how they had it labeled in Battery Park.
Right.
But it wasn't. It was in Music Plaza, and it wasn't an Oddfellows booth. It was just a silver food truck, typical Universal food truck thing. It was really weird.
Because it's weird, if you go back to 2019, like all the food booths were all in that New York street, weren't they? From like the Transformers extended queue up to the Mummy. Everything was there, like Mardi Gras was in 2020. And then they've started spreading everything around, which I always said I preferred, but I don't know whether I do now because it makes it more of a ball ache to find what you want.
I think it's better from a crowding situation.
True.
But way more difficult. I agree with you in the sense that, like, if you're just there at one area of the park and you're like, man, I'm craving this. Well, you got to walk, to the opposite side of the park. That kind of sucks.
I still love Sting Alley, and Sting Alley this year. Like last year's was cool. The food wasn't great from what we tried, but this year the theme lent itself perfectly to The Last of Us.
I agree.
The food was really good. It was spot on.
Sting Alley at Mardi Gras was the same way. Best theming during Mardi Gras and maybe the best food. It was definitely up there.
That was the Japanese, wasn't it? The Japanese.
I was just saying, the highball, right?
Oh, dude, that drink was hands down the best. They will not have a better themed drink. I guarantee
that was fantastic. I do love those.
I mean, there was no sweetness to it at all. It was all booze forward. It was so good.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Well, I think we. Any other comments before we move on the food?
No, like I say, we didn't try a lot. To be fair.
No.
I didn't try as much as I wanted. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, true.
She said. All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Man, we need a vacation. Oh, I got this. Whoa, that's awesome. But I was thinking something a little more adventurous. Okay, how about this? Yes!
And how about some relaxation from Mama?
Oh, perfect. How did you do that?
Easy. PortKey Vacations.
For your next vacation, let PortKey Vacations take away all the guesswork and stress of planning. From air and hotel to theme park tickets and everything else in between, they've got you covered. Just visit PortKeyVacations.com and touch the PortKey to get started with your free, no-obligation quote request. With just one touch, and PortKey Vacations will magically take you wherever you want to go.
All right, guys, welcome back. So, moving on, we are going to Scare Zones.
Can I just preface this by saying they were all kind of eh.
Yeah, this is the overarching theme of we know where the money was spent, right?
This is what I said last week. It's very obvious where the money was spent this year because the Scare Zones were very eh.
So let's take one Scare Zone at a time. The first one we're going to talk about is Dr. Oddfellow's Collection of Horror.
Collection.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
I mean, obviously they were hamstrung very much this year with not wanting to put anything in Illumination Avenue, which I understand. It's the brand new kid like family land, so we don't want to put Horror Night in there. So I get why they didn't. But that tiny little area that again,
is it really a scare zone? It's like a slightly elongated arch,
a scare stamp.
Yeah.
Because you're not going through it. The only night we walked through it was opening night, and the only reason we walked through it opening night is because we'd gone back to the hotel to get dry. If we hadn't, we'd have never walked through it other than leaving.
It was overly foggy for me, that one.
We barely went through it.
Yeah, but when you're in a wheelchair as well, because I did go through in a wheelchair once, and it was very foggy, and nearly ran somebody over.
Oh, that's all right. It's not your problem.
It is when they're sitting in my lap.
I thought the creatures were really cool, but there was nothing to it. Like, I felt bad because that was actually the first. I didn't even realize that was a scare zone. So our first time in a Horror Nights ever, Laura and I, just us, we walked by. We go straight back towards New York, and then we're in Vamp, and we'll get that later. But I was like, well, that's our first one. She's like, no, we went through the Oddfellows earlier. I was like, that was like a scare zone. Like I saw things, but it wasn't what I was picturing at all. And now that you've said that it was smaller, I'm even more confused because it was smaller. They should have been able to theme it out and make it even more impressive. Especially at the beginning of the park. Like, that's really weird.
I think one of the biggest takeaways from the Scare Zones very much is becoming a thing more and more and more. And I want to give a shout out to our good friend Blake, because I think he was the one that kind of instilled this in the Scare Zones when he started doing them, is they're very much more theatrical nowadays. So just walking through, you don't really get anything from them. Whereas if you've got the time to go and grab a drink and some food and sit and watch the little stories that are going on inside the Scare Zones, that's where you will get the biggest bang for your buck. And because we aren't those type of people, you miss all of that, and it's just that was crap.
But there was one that did do that.
There is.
You didn't have to spend long there to see the story unfolding.
No, you didn't. We'll get to that.
We will get to that, so I have not said anymore.
Because it's the best one.
Spoiler.
Yeah, well, I love this concept, and I know where you're going, and we will get to it. But how could you even do that in the first one or in the jungle. There's no way you could sit and enjoy the jungle one and like see a story unfold.
No,
it's
and you
too
can't
small
in
and
that one.
crowded.
Yes,
it's
it
impossible.
You know, the only area that you can see kind of that, and we accidentally did that, is when we were, I forgot who was grabbing a drink there at that margarita spot. And
we're on the patio next to La Bamba.
I remember Alexa and I sat on the patio one of the nights there for a bit. We were waiting for somebody, but we saw that little intro show that he does, because he does it every 5 minutes. I think we saw it like 10 times. But that's like the only area there that you can kind of see that, and it was fun. It was cool to see that happen. But yeah,
we're not onto that scare zone yet.
Yeah,
was that during one of your dozen RIP tours you've done this season, Chris?
Yeah, no, I only did 10. So
Oh, sorry.
But I think that's
just 10.
I think that's the same with the Dr. Oddfellow one. There's like obviously those like I've seen tons of pictures in the like pass holder group and stuff of like walking around and interacting with Dr. Oddfellow, and unless you're that person that's going to go in there looking for selfies and looking for interaction with scare actors, and I think that goes for all the scare zones. You're not really going to get a lot out of them anymore, because that's not. There used to be a themed area with scare actors just trying to make yourself while you were going through houses, and they've become more than that now. And like I say, if you're not hanging out in them, you don't get anything from them for the most part.
No. And this year, it wasn't advertised that there was an order to.
It was. If you see, you were out of it being in Korea. If you'd have been on this, we talked about it. So
no, but for the regular, just an average
the
person
general
going
public
in,
I don't think it made any difference. To be fair,
you needed to go anti-clockwise, counterclockwise.
I don't think it would have made any difference. I don't
know. We didn't actually do it, so I'm not really sure.
Because
I don't think it would make a difference, because by the time you get to the second one, it wouldn't make any sense at that point.
No.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense when your guide is telling you, hey, this starts here because this is the year this, and then he finds this, and then you go to this. So like that, from that aspect, it gives you a much better appreciation of the scare zones. But even with that, it still overall had that, kind of meh tone.
I didn't mind the shipyard one.
We're not there yet.
I really did. I enjoyed the creatures there, and I got a. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we're gonna get there in a second. I see that. I see that. One other thing that I don't know if it was mentioned, the carriage of Dr. Oddfellow. That's part of this zone, right?
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Live actor actually going, in conversation,
like the old
not
snake
just
oil salesman.
Where are we?
Dr. Oddfellow.
Still the first one.
Remember when you
straight
make a right,
opposite Today Cafe. We literally sat
in front of the Universe store.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. But again, if you didn't see the little show, it was just a set piece.
Mm-hmm.
But him wandering around was awesome. I mean, I think that was the best reason to go into that area, was to see his little cart and him roaming around interacting with people. That was very cool.
Yeah.
If you got to see
making a right turn down to Hollywood, we are then greeted with the Dark Zodiac scare zone. Anybody want to jump on that first?
It was terrible.
I mean, I'll just say I had the worst experience, because, and I don't even blame it. It was just super crowded. We were just heel to toe with people literally just being pushed through that area. So I got no feeling of a scare zone whatsoever from that. So I did not really do that one.
I genuinely have no recollection of this one.
Because I'll say this again, unless
I remember last year,
you're making a beeline to it, you're not naturally going to walk through. I've said this for the last few years. The problem is now where they put the houses, you're not naturally going to walk through those front two scare zones other than at the beginning of the night and the end of the night, because there's no reason for you to go through Hollywood, because all the houses are at the back. So unless you're specifically walking through, like, oh, we're going to go in two of the scare zones, you're not naturally going to walk through that scare zone.
Oh, yeah, because there used to be houses around Shrek, right? You told me that before.
Yeah, there used to be. So going, I think the last one that was in there was Killer Clown. So you would have had a reason to walk through Hollywood, whereas now you don't.
I get that. Interesting.
Especially with Mel's closed.
Yeah.
There's like nobody's going there.
We walked
Mel's
through
would
it.
be slammed
Like twice. That's
what
why
happened?
Go through there.
What
nothing
was there? What
really.
was set pieces?
The Dark Zodiac. There was like each prop was supposed to be based around a sign of the Zodiac. We only walked through it like twice.
the set pieces were
because we
very
didn't really.
underwhelming.
The only time I remember walking through it was on our RIP tour, walking from the Hollywood Suites to Cafe La Bamba. Other than that, because normally we would come into the park and go straight up to New York, so you don't even go through Hollywood.
Huh.
I think one of the only cool things in that area is I don't even know what to call him, but it was a guy dressed up with a face on the front and back. And,
Gemini?
Oh, Voldemort.
Yeah, that too. Where they would do this really cool trick, and they actually got me just off guard, where they can walk, and you don't know if they're walking forward or backwards.
That's cool.
For the
That's creepy.
And then he was walking, stopped right next to me, and like he walked towards me, and then I stop, he stops, and then I start moving past him, and then he starts walking backwards or forwards. I don't know with me, but he has a head on that face on that side too. It was
That's
really cool. Really cool like trick that they were doing. Aside from that, pretty forgettable. I mean, I know a lot of people in like the other HHN groups on Facebook loved it. If you're into zodiac signs, because they,
Well, I've got one.
Yeah. But
I
thought the creatures were
really
cool.
like it.
It just didn't do anything for me. Like, I wasn't the biggest fan of last year's, but it had an atmosphere.
It was. I really liked last year.
It had an atmosphere.
Oh, no, hang
the
on.
set pieces were really good. It was Graveyard Deadly Unrest.
Yeah,
It had an atmosphere. It had a feeling to it. This one just was nothing. Yeah. And like last year's, even from a distance, when they let the fog out and that cool lightning effect. So even from around the rest of the park, it added to the event. This one for me just added nothing because, like I said, we just generally didn't go through it.
Yeah. All right. So next up, if you are walking towards La Bamba and going right past it, you will be greeted with Jungle of Doom Expedition Horror.
This one for me missed a trick. It could have been so much more.
It could have been really cool.
Yeah. I did like the thing as well. This is why you had to go counterclockwise because otherwise you're coming through it backwards.
Yeah,
and
you need to see Dr. Oddfellow first. That's a good point, actually.
Yep.
But if from 10 seconds of being in there, all I said was need blacklight and blacklight paint. If those costumes had been made up that old style with the blacklight paint, and make it like almost like the
Chupacabra.
No, Alice.
Asylum in Wonderland.
Asylum in Wonderland. So you get that 3D, really spooky effect.
I wonder if that would work in a scare zone.
Well,
that chroma depth.
I think it would. Especially that one because you've got...
That'd be interesting, actually.
We've said this for years. It's like walking through a tunnel because of the way the trees are. And honestly, I think that blacklight, it would have worked amazing in there. It would have elevated that.
And you could have had like Dr. Oddfellow's like glowing artifact as like the center points of it. You'd be like, oh, there it is. Like it's glowing. Yeah. It's right there.
This is one that's usually last year. This was my favorite scare zone.
What was it last year?
There's like a
was it the Scarecrow one?
No, yes, yeah, it was. It was so cool. I loved it last year.
I think it was the year before.
Vikings Undead.
Yeah,
it wasn't the year before, but
whatever.
The
last time we were there.
So, like the set pieces in this one with the plane and the bats up and stuff were cool, but they pumped that scare zone as they do every year with so much fog. You don't get to see any of it.
Yeah,
and I love. No, it's not too much.
It is too much.
No, I love it.
It kills me.
I love it.
I'm with Tracy on this. Too much.
No,
not a fan of the fog.
I know Kelly was telling
me sick.
Kelly was telling me a story yesterday when she went through the scare zone with her group, and we all know how scared of Halloween Horror Nights Kelly was, and she said so the group went in front of her, and then they pumped the fog through between her and her group. So she hit a wall of fog and couldn't see, and she was literally screaming, "Tyler, where are you?" And he come back and grabbed hold of her hand to pull her through. But it was empty. The one time I remember walking through it, it was empty. There was barely any scare actors in it. It felt empty. And I know it's a difficult one because it's not a huge scare zone, but it's usually very pretty, and it lacked anything. Like it lacked lighting.
It was pretty stacked, honestly.
We commented props, but not scare actors wise. Do you not remember, Trace? That
you're
first time
talking specific. Okay, yeah.
There was barely any actors in it.
I mean, it wasn't the worst one.
No, I don't think so.
We've been through the worst.
I think
one.
it was.
Zodiac was the worst one for me.
I don't even remember. So obviously it was for me.
Jungle was the worst for me, for sure.
I still like that narrow, foggy, because I love the fog. I just stand in the middle of it and breathe it in. I'm a crack addict for Horror Nights fog.
Going back to that Coke.
Talk about Michelle again.
Hey, man.
No. Not that sort of crack. It's funny because Brian obviously has no... Like, we're obviously referencing, like, last year or the year before or whatever, and Brian's coming in completely, like, judging it on its own merits this year, and it's interesting.
Right.
No, it's not a bad thing. It's a very different point of view that we don't have because we go into every house, every scare zone, every show with a knowledge of what's been there prior, and it affects what you think of that house this year, or that scare zone this year, or that show, whereas you go in completely fresh with no preconceived idea of what it's going to be, and it's fresh. We don't get to see that. It's cool.
It's weird. I mean, like that, for example, I'm sure that area would make for a great scare zone sometimes, because that's what I expected this year, because it is such a tunnel, and, you know, even at night on a not Horror Nights night, it's kind of a creepy little spot.
Yeah.
So I expected that to be a really good scare zone, and I was... I mean, like I said, it might not have even been a scare zone as far as I knew.
So moving on to one of the more forgettable scare zones, Shipyard 32, Horrors Unhinged.
This was Brian's
my second favorite one.
Really?
Favorite. I liked it.
It's completely personal experience.
Yeah, this is very true. One question, Lee, did you like the scare zone or Batcula?
No, she's called Patricia.
Patricia. Okay.
Yes.
There you go.
No, I like the scare zone as a whole. The more I went through it and the more I took notice of a lot of the things in there, the more of an appreciation I had for it. This was probably my second favourite. There's a big gap between favourite and second favourite. But yes, this was probably my favourite as well. And going off the back of how last year's was in this area.
I mean, it couldn't get any worse. I did like how the creatures changed which cages they were in as well. Yeah. So there was no... You didn't know who was going to be where.
I liked it.
I liked the fairy.
It was, again...
I barely got scare actors in the cages, by the way.
Really?
Like maybe once. Oh, yeah. This scare zone, I had to look up pictures again to remind myself because I just wiped it off.
Yeah, I didn't mind it. I spent a lot of time, not a lot of time in there because we passed through, but one specific walkthrough of like taking videos and stuff for Instagram. So you obviously pay a bit more of attention to what's going on when you're trying to take videos and stuff. So I got a bit more of what was going on in there because of that. And I liked it.
It naturally fit into the landscape. I mean, I thought that was a bonus right off the bat. Like, it makes sense for it to be there, so that was cool. I got the scared out of me. One of those metal containers that I had no idea wasn't a metal container, and I was walking by just chatting, having my drink in my hand, and then all of a sudden someone ripped the metal container open and jumped out at me. It was amazing. I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I do think that this scare zone was better in the daylight, though.
Yes.
Yep.
Because
you're right.
That area is so dark, you lose 90% of what you can see. And there was a lot to see.
Yeah. Which at a scare zone shouldn't work better in the daylight. But yeah, it did. You're right.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yep. My best times through it were in the light. You're 100% right.
Yeah. Which is weird.
Yeah.
And we saw Warwick Davis in there.
Well, everybody else did. I didn't.
I mean, I saw Joni's pictures of Warwick Davis in there.
Oh, that's right.
I saw Warwick Davis in there, and I'll never forgive myself for not realizing it was him and saying something to him. I was literally like walking on his feet. Like I was trying to stay away from him. I was like literally getting ready to step on him. I'm so that I didn't say something to him.
Rounding up our scare zones, you have the largest one there. Vamp 69, Summer of Blood.
It's the best one.
Easily.
By a mile. Like, not even close. There's like Vamp 69 and then the rest.
Mm-hmm. What did you like about it?
So I loved I spent a lot of time taking video in this scare zone. I loved the guy with the hash pipe and the little meat markety thing and the woman dancing on the sort of outside of Finnegan's. They were pretty cool. With I think
meat market.
Well, it was just like a little butcher's shop thing. Yeah, whatever it was. I don't know. Don't call me out on my own show. Back to UFP.
Lee Robert Malaby, what are you saying?
And look, I invited him on, and he's been a
Yeah, that's what you invite him on for.
Oh,
I
man.
completely.
Oh boy.
Very specifically, that first night we were in there as well, it was the track that was playing was "Come Together" by the Beatles, and it worked so well in that area.
So good.
It worked so well in that area.
Brian, let me guess.
There was some
Sweet Caroline.
great acting in there.
It's Sweet Caroline, obviously. Classic.
Tracy's bit that she alluded to earlier, the very specific moment in there that was pretty cool. They're coming together, funnily enough.
I don't remember.
So the cast change moment of how they changed cast in Vamp
that
69
was really, yes,
amazing.
I like that, yeah.
And we just stumbled on it by pure accident.
Yeah. Because I didn't realise
what
until
happens?
afterwards. I thought it was just a case of, it was just part of the act. They were all just like congregating
It was,
at the centre. But that's how the whole team was getting together. Then they left in a group.
I saw that
and-
happening. I didn't even realize that's what it was.
Yeah, but I think
Oh, that's cool.
because if you watched when they came out from backstage, they came out in vampires and they came out in living people. So obviously they're in this group, and then the vampires come out and they run away from them backstage.
So
And then
cool.
we must have the fresh meat come out.
You had like the real people sort of huddled together with the vampires kind of stalking them, making a ring around them, and then they all kind of barreled out. It was so awesome, and we just completely stumbled across it by accident.
Those actors in there, I mean, most of scare actors just kill it, right? But I think I told you about this. It was end of night. It was almost 2 a.m, or maybe past it. We're coming out of the tribute store, and they're leaving the zone. The park is closed. They're going back away. And, I'm doing the applause whenever you see a line of Horror Night actors going around, just like, yeah, hell yeah. And they're all like, they're in a straight line. And I thought they were just like out of character. And this one girl, like, she's like, oh yeah, smiling my way. And just, dude, one of the vampires there just went straight back into character and just went straight up in my face to give me a scare. And I was like, bravo. That was phenomenal. Yeah. You caught me literally off guard.
I mean, to be fair, New York lends itself to a scare zone probably more than anywhere else in studios. It's generally the most elaborate, which is weird. I suppose it's not weird because you got to think that that's where the majority of the houses are. If you think where from like sort of Blood Moon up to Dragons, there's 5 houses in that area?
Dude, you got houses, you got food booths, you got tribute store.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very heavily congested area.
It is.
Yeah. So it would make sense that you would put your most elaborate scare zone in there because that's where most people are going to be hanging out. That's why I wish they'd find somehow to spread the houses out more because, like we said, you could feasibly do all the houses and miss out 3 scare zones entirely. Because if you go
You're right.
Kid Zone, where you're going into monsters, then up to Men in Black, where The Last of Us and Darkest Deal are, and then Chucky,
back to the middle,
and then
you're
New
definitely
York.
right.
You literally, it's like that dog leg of the left-hand side of the park, and you don't even need to. So that's why at least when they had that second Shrek theatre, there was a reason to come down into that bottom part of the park, whereas there isn't now, and it's a shame because I wish they would find somewhere to at least put a house closer to the front of the park just to give you a reason at some point in the night to go back to those front scare zones because you don't need to.
If they did a show in the Bourne Theater or the Horde Mates Cup Theater, that would give us a reason to go back to there.
Yeah. I mean, we've called out for years, haven't we, to do a Halloween Horror Nights version of horror makeup.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer. It doesn't make any sense.
But
you imagine retheming the Bourne show for Horror Nights?
yeah, it would be awesome.
Oh my God.
So
like
freaking
Zombie
cool.
Born. Zomborn. The
Zomborn.
Zomborn
There we go.
Stuntacular. You're welcome, Universal.
Yeah.
So the thing I loved the most about Vamp 69 was it was the most immersive for me because you have the regular hippie crowd running around. And if they're running around and looking like kind of regular people and then they're getting bit and like pleading for help, then you could be next. Like you're now a player in this thing unfolding in front of you. And I think that was the coolest thing about Vamp 69. You're singing along to the music. There's people running around. You don't really know who is who. Like I thought it was very, very fun. I loved it.
There was.
I mean, the set pieces were fantastic there. My one gripe, and this is more of my blue sky, like I wanted this and I was kind of expecting it. I don't know why. I wish they would at least the stage.
Yeah.
They didn't. I don't think they utilized
at
the
all
stage enough because it was a full on like look like a straight up set that you could play a set on. I'm not asking.
I wanted live music. I really did think they were going to do live music there.
Brian, I would have loved live music, but I would have been okay with lip syncing.
God,
yep, lip singing. I would have been perfectly fine with that. Like, that's okay. But they just didn't use that. It was just for like the yelling of the guy. Like, oh.
You even think back to last year, there was the whole mayor thing, giving the key of the town to them, and then go back to Zombieland. There was Zombieland. Zombie Kill of the Week.
We did see one thing.
Not on the stage, I don't think.
We did, because somebody, it looked like he got yanked off the stage.
Well, lucky him.
But we came at the end of whatever was going on.
I don't remember that. I don't pay attention in the scare zones. I'm usually talking to the people I'm with, to be fair.
That's why you get scared by cats.
Yeah.
But I like that one a lot. I thought it had a lot of energy.
Yes, Tracy, I actually saw that as well. The guy getting yanked.
Thank you. Stop it.
I'm surprised they're allowed to do that at Horror Nights. It's definitely for over 13s only.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, so going back to what I was saying earlier on, this year, you could definitely tell, I mean, we're going to talk about the houses in 2 weeks' time, but you can definitely tell where the budget got spent this year, without a doubt. There wasn't anywhere near as much.
2 weeks. It'll be like Christmas in 2 weeks.
It won't be Christmas, but you can see where the budget's gone. It's all gone on houses this year, and there's very minimal left for the scare zones. I think, because the set pieces, there was a lot more props in the streets, I feel, last year, and not so much this year. And you'd think they would have more money because that entrance scare zone's like a fraction of what it was last year. You think last year when they had the Pumpkin Lord, that whole set piece at the front, it's It just, I think...
How could they not have more money? I'm very curious about this. Like, again, it's our first year, so I don't really know. I know we spent a lot of money to go to this event. I feel like people have told me that the prices were up a little bit this year. They didn't have the Lagoon show, so same amount of houses, one show, no Lagoon show, more money coming in. I'm sure they didn't cut people from coming in. How could they not have had more money this year?
God knows. But it just, I mean, I don't know whether you guys... Tracy, Chris, agree with me, but I felt like the houses this year were fantastic, but the event overall, it lacked something. I don't know. It didn't feel like Halloween Horror Nights this year. It was weird. I think that Lagoon show not being there definitely affected the atmosphere in the park overall.
It could also go back to, as much as the scare zones were all heavily themed to be a cohesive story, it didn't really feel like that out there. So it felt more like, oh, let's go check out this house. Let's go check out this house. Oh, walk through this scare zone. Here's some random stuff going on. As opposed to maybe, you have more of a connection to, the scare zones or how it was done or whatever. So you don't have like that gap in, we're just doing houses. Like, no, this is a whole entire event.
It didn't
we're
feel
going
like
to houses, but we're
year,
cutting through here. We're doing that. And then
without listening to the official Universal podcast, I would not have known there was a cohesive thing going on.
Well, you won't.
Oh yeah. It's weird. Yeah. Like the story on paper, it was fantastic. Execution could have been better. But again, like Lee was saying, I mean, you can see the money was spent in the houses.
Yeah, I think we'll get into it a little bit when we talk about the houses in 2 weeks as well. I think if you don't know the stories, a lot of them you're not going to know the story walking through the houses. You're not going to get that walking through the scare zones. I think as the event overall, it doesn't do a particularly good job of conveying that overall story unless you're immersed in everything Halloween Horror Nights has to offer.
Yeah.
Agreed. 100%.
Completely. Yep.
Which is a shame because I know it's difficult. It's difficult to try and tell a story in something that people are just walking back and forwards through. And I don't fault them for wanting to put a story onto it, and I'm glad they do. It's just how many people are actually going to get that story going.
I think you also have like your range of people, right? And the levels of interest in it.
Yes.
So you'll have like us, right? The nerds of the event just going into any bit of information that comes out. Then you have like your casual people that will just go on the website and read a couple things while they're buying their tickets. And then another guy that's just like
Stranger
it's
Things.
scary. Let's go.
Yeah, still
I don't
Stranger
care about
Things.
anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Stranger Things. Yeah, Stranger Things is there.
Yeah.
But yeah, one other thing here, which since I am hosting, I'm going to mention it here. That was not listed. Nightmare Fuel. Is that?
Oh, I forgot to put it on. Yeah, no.
Yeah. So I have to bring this up because I would say it's probably in my top 3 of anything Horror Nights this year.
It might be my favorite thing of the whole year. I mean, I absolutely love it. It's the thing we did the most. I mean, Laura and I did not pass it up any single night we were there. So it was awesome.
We did it every single night that we did it, that we did Horror Nights. And if given the opportunity, I probably would have done it twice in one of the nights, to be fair. It just, they killed it. And I don't know if it's because my expectations were so low, just because.
And I had none.
You had none, right? And Lee, you know how jaded I was from the previous year because I was like, eh. And then this year, I knocked it down. And I can go back on that because that show comes out and I was blown away. Music, fire, the aerialist, the everything. It was just so good this year. I am very excited to see where they push this, forward.
I've heard they're not coming back. Is that true? Do you guys know?
I've not heard
I'm going to trust you.
I haven't heard any of that. And I hope it's not true, to be honest.
I've heard from someone who has a friend in the Fuel Girls said that this was their last of the trilogy and they won't be back next year. I don't know if that's true or not.
Possibly.
Whatever.
Conversely, though, I thought this year was amazing, but I thought last year was better. I thought having the lead role male was better. Not from a pervy point of view.
I was going to say, of course you did.
Yeah. No, but things...
I did as well, to be fair.
But certain tricks...
of course you did.
Shut up, you.
Certain illusions. There was definitely.
He's not getting invited back on again. I can tell you that for now.
There were some very nice young ladies as well. But yeah, some of the illusions work better with a male.
Yeah, the first
lead.
one very definitely.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. We've got.
But I did appreciate new additions like the flaming whip. I thought that was.
Yeah, the sparkle things were cool.
How cool were those guys with the long fingers? That costume was amazing.
Oh, that is one of my favorite parts, mixed in with the fog and the music. It was so good.
It's interesting how we're all coming at it from a different perspective, because Chris is going into this one being jaded off last year's because of it being, or at least in your opinion, feeling like it was the same as the years before. You've got Brian coming into it completely fresh, and then you've got all Tracy blind. And I coming into it from a point of view where we didn't see the first year. So our first year was last year. So we didn't go in, we went into last year's without that, it felt like the year before, which I don't agree with. I love this year. I wish we'd seen it more. We should have done. That's a bone of contention in our household.
What? Why? I'd have got to see it.
But I know we didn't, and that's the problem. But I feel last year's was better.
Okay. I mean, it honestly, it goes down to the experience you had, because I will say this much. After we came back from Horror Nights and knowing we're not going back out there, I do what I normally do, and I just start watching videos of Horror Nights and performances. And I went back to go watch 21, 22, because I want to get that comparison in there. It's very weird, because you know how you have a memory of something?
Yes.
And it can be completely different from the actual experience you had? I went back to watch the 21, which was the first year we had a Horror Nights after the pandemic.
Yeah.
And that show, I loved it, right? It was phenomenal. But going back and watching that first show, it was a little bit bare bones. And I can see...
It was. Yeah, it was last year's was much more of a production.
You are correct. And that's the weird thing, because in my brain, year one was better than year two. But when I watched it again, from everything, the people in there, the stuff, there were some things I liked on year one that didn't do in year two. But either way, like my brain had to shift and go, oh, the reality that you remember is not actually what it was. This is the reality. So I wanted to watch those two and compare to this one as well.
Because it felt like that first year, they were still working on how to put a show like that together.
Yeah.
And then last year, they figured it out, and it was much more polished. It was much more honed. It was much more cohesive. But going back to what you were saying as well, like last year's, the music hit better for me. I mean, we watched that 3 times last year. I've watched it ton on YouTube since we come back. Like I say, just the music hit better for me than this year's. It just, as an overall experience, it just spoke to me more than this year's did. And that's not to say that I didn't enjoy this year's, because I did. It was phenomenal. I'd watch it every night I possibly could. But I still preferred last year's overall.
And that's the experience that you had. Like, that's the feeling, that the same way that I had mine. And even to add on top of that, I think another thing, when I went back and watched these videos to really have a fresh, have that fresh in my mind, I think what like really blew me away the first year, it was 2021. The parks had been closed for a long time. We didn't have horror nights. And so just coming back during the pandemic and seeing a show, I think that just made it that much better. You could have done anything, and I'd have been like, hell yeah, we're back in parks and for horror nights. So I think that also adds to it.
It's an Eddie Murphy joke. If you've never eaten for a year and someone gives you crackers, they'll be the best damn crackers you've ever had in your life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's where I feel I'm doomed next year, because this year I love the show so much, and I'm never going to have that first time experience again. So I hope I can somehow erase my memory, neuralize me, do something. I want to forget next year and feel like it's the first time all over again. Just like Foreigner said, feels like the first time.
Welcome to the club, buddy.
Yeah, I would love to. Like, it's like it's like you said there, Chris. My memory of going to Horror Nights back in 2004, how I remember that, can't possibly be how it was, because I now know the parks, and memories of certain areas and where things were couldn't possibly be where my memory tells me they are, because I know where those areas are, and it's no way it could be like that. The memory
you can envision it in your head and everything.
Yeah.
Though.
The memory is a very fallible thing, and unfortunately it's
that's true.
But yes, I'm much more looking forward to talking about houses this year.
Oh yeah,
sure.
that's the meat.
I can't wait.
You're not invited.
Literally.
That's why your wife's coming on.
To talk about houses?
Yeah.
You're bringing my wife on to talk about houses?
Yes, because she was on our hype list episode, therefore she gets to come back for our actual rankings episode.
That episode
I'm so jealous.
We go, can't wait to see what you actually think after.
Yeah.
You can just be a fly on the wall, though.
I could have.
I will be. Trust me. I'll be sitting right here, running the soundboard, having an old fashioned. It's going to be a great evening.
Ooh.
Anyway.
Yeah. Well, I think we've beaten all the other aspects of Horror Nights down pretty well.
Yeah.
Right.
I think so. I mean, sure. If you want to hear Michelle's thoughts, Russia Fear will be doing an episode at some point, so we'll plug them. Go and check out Russia Fear, our Halloween Horror Nights podcast with Maddie, Kenneth, and Michelle.
Or Universal Family.
No, fuck them.
Episode
Bullshit.
70.
What? Bleep that.
Wait,
fucking
no,
thing.
episode. Yeah, she's on episode 70. That's right.
Ugh.
Michelle's on episode 70.
As I say, I stopped listening when she came on.
Let's just pull out that business card.
You're on episode 69, Lee. That's pretty prestigious. And Tracy.
That's the best one. That was the best episode.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyone's the ones we're on the best episodes.
Yeah, completely agree.
All right. Well, Brian, thanks for joining us. Always
anytime.
Having you on.
And we managed to keep it
always fun chatting with you good people.
Yeah, you did.
It was cool. I like the fact it was a surprise to these two.
That was very much a surprise.
I saw Tracy's face when the ding dong was like, who the f*** is that?
And
don't like surprises.
Before we wrap things up, Brian, where can they find you?
We're just wherever you find podcasts. Universal Family Podcast, Instagram, Universal Fan Pod or something, Facebook, something like that too. I don't know. You'll find us wherever.
MySpace? Anything on MySpace or no?
I think we have a kind of defunct MySpace, but it would probably be like UFan Pod or something, if I had to guess.
Okay.
Find Brian on OnlyFans.
That's also you.
OnlyFans is definitely Universal Family Fun Podcast.
Oh my God. How many people are going to go and look that up now?
I already
You'll be surprised because I don't have anything there. Sorry.
That's what she said.
And you're welcome.
I may just create one right now. All right. Well, that is going to end another podcast, and we will do so with Universal Is. This time, it comes from Corey Hall. So for this week's episode, Corey says, Universal is Terror's Playground. Talk to you next time.
That was another episode of the Unofficial Universal Orlando Podcast, the best and only podcast about Universal Orlando on the island. Check us out on social media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Pinterest. Just search UUO Podcast. For all the podcasts, news, and articles, check out our blog at UUOpodcast.com. Contact us at podcast@UUOpodcast.com. Join the Producers Club by emailing us at UUOPproducers@gmail.com. Listen and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and everywhere else podcasts are found. Check out our friends, the Theme Park Duo, for all your other theme park news, and email Michelle at PortKeyVacations.net to book your next trip. So until next time, this is Amity 6, call off the Marines, we're coming home.